Fine.
Hello, my name is Shawn Mathieson. My husband Earl and I work as a team. I do the 3D printing and we assemble the hand together. This is our second type of hand to produce. We received our Phoenix Unlimited hand badge back on June 23rd. This is a Cyborg Beast left hand printed using PLA filament. Per the scaling instructions, this hand, which is scaled at 140%, is supposed to fit a 16-year-old, but to me it looks far too small for a 16-year-old's hand. We chose this model because we're currently working with a 5.5-year-old recipient who is missing these two fingers and has a small thumb and small and somewhat crooked third and fourth finger. And we think that this model, because it uses Velcro and not a molded plastic mesh, and because of the way it's shaped, will be the easiest model to modify to work for the recipient Scout's hand. The mother is making a cast of his hand, and she should be sending that to us shortly, and once we have that cast, we'll be better able to determine the correct scale as well as make modifications to fit his hand. So we'll rotate this around so you can see the print quality. Turn it over. As you can see, it closes quite nicely with very little flexing of the wrist. And it's quite strong and sturdy and could withstand lots of stresses. The STL files for the design were downloaded from Thingiverse, and the assembly kit purchased from 3D Universe. The hand was printed on a Maker Gear M3 independent dual extruder printer with a layer height of 0.2 millimeters. Infill density ranged from 30 to 35% for the larger parts and 100% for smaller parts like the tensional bricks. We encountered a lot of challenges in making this hand. We originally started at 120% because that's what the scaling instructions recommended for a 5.5-year-old. And we started with the model that used the plastic pins in the hinges instead of the Chicago screws. But at 120%, the pins were so tiny and fragile that they just broke. We then tried making at 120% in this model with the Chicago screws for the hinge pins. But even then, all of the holes where the Chicago screws go were far too small. And when we tried enlarging the holes, the area around the holes was too fragile and breakable. We then took a good look at the measurements in the photos of our recipients' hands and decided that 140% would be a more realistic scale to work with. At 140%, it worked better. We still had to enlarge the holes for the pins, but for the fingers and palm, they were strong enough to handle the enlarged holes. The thumb, however, this part was still too weak and broke. So what we did is we made it as wide as we could around the pin without interfering with the thumb movement. There was about 2 millimeters of room there that we used, and we also made it wider this way to strengthen the area. And finally, we were successful and have a hand that works quite well. I think this is a really nice model, but at a smaller scale, it needs a lot of work to make it strong enough. And the instructions for this model really weren't as thorough and clear as for the Phoenix Unlimited hand. Well, thank you very much. We hope you approve our build of this hand, printing and build of this hand, and we look forward to modifying it and making it work for the young boy we're currently working with. Thank you.